Yo guys, what's going on? My name is HackingIsFreedom and welcome to the 9th episode of What Was Cut, a series where we take a look at what exactly was cut from our favorite games. Today we're going to be talking about the Simpsons Skateboarding. This is one of the only Simpsons games I didn't personally play as a kid, because Tony Hawk pretty much stole all my attention in the skateboarding game genre. Anywho, let's pop some 360 Chevets with the Simpsons family. Okay, so pretty much everything in this video is found by me, as the cutting room floor doesn't have much documentation on this game, but there's honestly not a whole lot to this game in general. It seems the developers love to hide stuff under the map though, so a lot of my findings take place in the Hall of Mirrors. If you don't know what that is, in lamest terms, it's when the textures smear across the screen. So I like to issue a seizure and epilepsy warning for some parts of the video, as it can get kind of crazy. Nevertheless, I have some interesting findings from each level I'd like to show you. Starting with the first map of the game, Springfield Elementary. The Springfield skate park sign looked pretty different in the alpha build. The final version obviously looked much cleaner. The static version of both models can be seen here as well, and they both have a part of the elementary school's texture. The Krusty Burger sign was much more basic in the alpha build, completely lacking the iconic logo. You can once again see the static model here as well. Also near Krusty Burger, there seems to be a piece of the sign left down here for whatever reason. Looking at the textures in-game though, it seems the texture under the map is a bit more compressed than the one on the actual sign. There's a piece of geometry under the map that is fully skatable for whatever reason. Here's the static model of the gas sign. Also near the gas station, there's a triangular piece of geometry that I believe is storing the tree texture. Here's a small texture sheet of water, or basically acid, with one animated tile. For some strange reason, Barney doesn't seem to spawn in the sewer area on the E3 demo. But he does spawn here in the alpha and final game, so they changed it at some point. Lastly, inside the elementary school, there seems to be a unique texture reading stop. I'm not sure if this is a developer joke for people roaming around in free cam like me, or if this had another purpose. I have no idea. Downtown Springfield has similar stuff under the map like the first one. The Aztec Theater has its static model directly underneath it. Barney's Bowl-O-Rama sign has its static model underneath it as well. However, inside the Bowl-O-Rama, there's 4 textures of doors being stored here. I have no idea why they didn't just push these under the map like the rest of the stuff in this video. Just like in the first map, there's a triangular piece of geometry that I believe is storing the textures for the stairs of various buildings. It's skatable as well. The Krusty Burger doesn't have transparent windows in this level for whatever reason, making this interior unused. It's not really different than the one seen from the first level though. Underneath the Krusty Burger, there's 2 pieces of signs that seem to be random leftovers. This first one is a piece of the letter R from the sign, and the second one seems to be a leftover from the previous map, as it's the exact same piece of the sign, just untextured. The Quickie Mart's windows are also not transparent in this level, making this interior unused, which is kinda strange because I feel like since you start the level on top of it, you would think the developers would make it transparent because it's one of the very first things you see when starting this level. Lastly, there seems to be a small square near the yellow gated fence, which I believe is once again storing the texture for the yellow part of the gate here. This would normally not be seen because of the restrictive camera. Burns' mansion is a bit more interesting than the previous 2 maps, as this map has a few changes from the retail version of the game. Starting with the plant locations. In the alpha, they were all placed inside of the greenhouse, but in the retail, they're scattered outside the greenhouse. For some strange reason, in the alpha build, the hounds seem to be missing most of their textures. Not really sure why. Speaking of untextured things, there's a large pink landscape that's fully skatable in the alpha build. It's located just outside of the playable area.
360 flip.
However, the collision was removed in the retail game, probably for performance reasons. Outside of the interior of Mr. Burns' mansion, there's an unused TV with the corresponding textures that was supposed to be placed somewhere in the mansion. I'm not really sure why this was cut, as it looks fully complete. Lastly, there's once again a texture sheet for water, which is used around the map. Sadly, I can only find one thing for the construction site level, and it's the location of the secret map, or the map you get teleported to when you go into certain areas. I'll be showing a few more of these later in the video. Same goes for the Sir Putz-a-Lot level. I sadly couldn't find much, but the bottom of the Radioactive Man poster is cut off, and it does have some unseen text reading, "It never melts." And this is what's under the map, just a bunch of extended geometry from the highways in the background. Nothing really interesting. Next up is Crustaloo Studios, and we have quite a few things under the map. The first being this square, which is obviously storing the exit sign for various buildings. There's another square that I believe is storing the streetlight textures. There's also a few sets of blinking lights stored under the map as well. These are all for the various billboards you see around the map. A dance floor-like texture is also down here as well. Lastly, here's the location of the area you teleport to when entering the Channel 6 news station. It's very, very far under the map. One of the strangest things I've found on the Springfield Mall level is, for whatever reason, the developers chose to encase the whole map in a black box. Oddly enough, the skybox is still here though. A very strange design decision, because this skybox was seen in the alpha build without the black box. This level also seems to be the only one that has a very large skatable flat ground under the map. I'm not sure why this is the only one to feature this though.
Mother would be proud.
And for whatever reason, there's a blacked out version of the boiler room sign. Lastly, here's the location of the area you teleport to when entering the mall. It's even further under the map than the previous level. I think this is overkill, honestly. Like, this is ridiculously far under the map. There's a lot more to go over in the Itchy and Scratchy Land level, as it seems it went through the most changes. In the alpha build, the lava pit originally had 2 swinging ramps. These were completely removed from the final game. However, there are 2 swinging platforms under the map in the retail version, although I'm not sure if these are the previously mentioned removed ones from the lava pit, or if these are just reference objects for the actual swinging platforms used in the map. Both the retail and alpha build have these misplaced trees. I guess they just totally forgot about them. There's a weird rectangle with a green and purple gradient, and I'm pretty sure this is storing the textures you're currently seeing in the background. There's another triangular object that I believe is storing the tree texture, like in the Springfield Elementary level. At the beginning of this level, in the alpha build, there's a bunch of random textures. One being a part of Scratchy's gift shop, some random red grate, and the one at the bottom I'm not too sure what it's supposed to be. Possibly a temp texture? Although in the retail version, all of those old textures have been removed, and just the flags remain. The acid in the acid bath is just recolored water. It's the exact same as the textures I've shown earlier. There is, however, a strange box with calling on certain sides. These small glass-like objects look like lights, but I don't have a clue on what these could be used for. There's another dance floor-like texture, and I believe this is being stored here for Itchy's Disco. Speaking of Itchy's Disco, the alpha build originally had some ramps behind it, but this was later removed in the retail. You may have also noticed a slight change to Itchy's 70s disco sign in the footage here. In the alpha, the sign had more plain yellow text, with a more pale looking green, while in the retail version, the text was swapped to red with a yellow border, the green is much more vibrant, and a black background was added to the established date. Lastly, there's a non-moving platform under the map that I'm assuming is another reference object. Sadly, I couldn't find much for the Springfield power plant level, just another texture sheet of water, just like before. The final level, Springfield Gorge, doesn't have a lot of changes, but I will definitely say it has one massive change. In the alpha build, Springfield Gorge was originally dry, with quite a lot of ramps and different objects to do tricks off of. I'm not entirely sure why this was changed to be filled with water in the retail version, but I feel like the dry version is better in a gameplay sense, personally. But the water does make the map look better, and not so desolate. Of course, with the addition of water, the developers left both reference objects under the map. I'm starting to think this may have been because of time restrictions. The mine shafts were a little bit different in the alpha build as well. The mine shafts originally had a conveyor belt which looked like gold was being extracted from the mines. This was obviously changed in the retail version, and looking at these side by side, you can actually see how poorly the conveyors were covered up. With this change, the texture for the conveyor was also deleted as well. Lastly, in the Springfield Gorge and a few other levels, the cars seem to carry a piece of the road texture with them. I'm not sure if the cars are storing the road texture for longer road sections of the map, or if this texture is actually just attached to the model itself. This appears on both the alpha and retail versions of the game. As we come to the end of the video, there's some oddities and some random stuff I'd like to show you. There's a single texture that I'm guessing would be shown if a level didn't have proper data, or when going to an invalid level. There's been 4 different versions of the title screen made, this first one being the first one created, still going under its working name, The Simpsons Cheap Skater. I love how with that title you know exactly what this game was made for. Two versions were made for the E3 build, but the one without the icons goes completely unused. And finally, the alpha version is very similar to the retail. The only difference really, besides the build version being displayed at the top, is also the legal text at the bottom. That for some reason got removed in the final game. The startups to each build were a little different as well. The E3 version had no animated clips for Fox or the Code Monkeys. It has a completely different intro to the game, and it starts you off as Bart in the first level automatically. If you press select 3 to 4 times on your controller, you can actually activate free cam. The alpha build starts up with placeholder text reading legal info here. The Fox interactive video is slightly different than the final retail game. Both companies' videos are unskippable, and the intro to the game starts off with a warning reading. This video game features skilled amateurs in controlled circumstances. Viewers choosing to perform any of the stunts and tricks presented in this video game do so at their own risk. Only in the alpha build, you can use this code to re-enable a cut feature that I think would have been great in the final game. Using that code enables a board selection menu when you select your character. Each character has around 4 to 5 different boards to choose from. I still don't know why this was cut though. There's a small debug menu you can activate in the retail game with this code. There's not much to it, but the first page, which is page 0, shows the amount of memory that's currently being used. Page 1 shows the highest memory used at a specific time. Page 2 lists their currently active AI. Page 3 is just basic information like FPS count and total models on screen. And the last page actually has some functionality. The first option, labeled as dummy, obviously doesn't do anything. Auto reset resets the level every 3 seconds. Auto quit quits the level automatically and puts you in the first level. Unless you're already playing on that level, then auto quit will actually put you in the next level. Pretty strange functionality to me, to be honest. The final option, force free skate instead of arcade, tries to force load a cut game mode upon exiting the level. Obviously, with this game mode being cut, the game crashes here, with an error basically saying that it can't find the map. But we do get this cool looking loading screen though. And that's all I have for the Simpsons Skateboarding. A big thanks to Lockout5731, Galvis76, MyValex6655, I'm sorry if I butchered that, and Princess Alicia for suggesting this one. Thank you all so much for getting this channel past 6,000 subscribers. While just in my last video we were only 200 off. Your support is truly amazing. Thank you all so much. I'm sorry this one took a bit longer to come out though, as I didn't have that much free time during the week as I normally do. I'm going to be uploading a preservation type video of me exploring an early build of Disney Universe as compensation. It's basically raw gameplay documenting each level in depth. Some of you may be interested in that, some of you may not be. I find real early builds of anything super fascinating, honestly. Don't worry though, the next What Was Cut episode should be here on Thursday or Friday regardless. I just figured I'd give you all a bonus video for the delay. Anywho, if you have a suggestion for the next What Was Cut episode, don't be afraid to comment down below. With that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.